Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's CIE Technology Seminar. First of all, sorry for torturing you guys with my slides, but I will have to just very briefly talk about a organization introduction before I hand over to the guest speaker today, Dr. William Call. And myself, I'm Yan Shu. I'm a volunteer at the CIE organization. Just really quickly, we do have an upcoming technology seminar in about 1 week on January 24th. The topic is climate change and policy making and also investments. Recently, climate change and energy issues are becoming quite popular. And the speaker is Dr. Yixing Xu from Breakthrough Energy, which is a Gates Ventures invested by Bill Gates. So he will be giving a talk to us through Zoom. So please, if you're interested, register for this event. And yeah. I will speak a little bit louder because I think somebody said volume is very low. I will try to speak up, okay? And if you haven't done so, please follow us through these media channels on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and sign up our CIE newsletter. The newsletter is sent out every 2 weeks with the upcoming events and the important announcements. Thank you. All right. So the Chinese Institute of Engineers was founded in the USA back in 1917 by Zhan Tianyou and Lin Hongxun, who are the very early, two of the earliest students coming from China. And over the years, our organization has evolved and also expanded. So currently in the USA, there are 6 chapters. So today, we are San Francisco Bay Area chapter, and there are 5 more brother chapters in the US. And also we have an overseas chapter called OCEESA. And we have been holding 3 major repeating conferences over the years. METS, which is held biannually. SATEC is held also biannually. And the last one is held annually in the USA. If you want to recommend our other chapters to your friends, to your to people you know, please welcome. Please feel free to do so. Okay, the San Francisco Bay Area chapter, we were founded in 1979, more than 30 years ago. We are a non-profit organization. We aim to serve professionals, engineers, scientists, and students in the community, in the larger STEM community as well. Our mission is to promote technological advancement, networking, and communicating among the engineering community. And down here at the bottom, you can see some photos from our past annual conference in 1981, 99, and also 3 years ago in 2019. Okay, it's worth to mention that since pandemic, we have largely moved our activities and events to online, and we actually held our annual conference, AEOY conference ceremony virtually in 2020 and 2021. So we have our guest speakers and we have our audience joining in Zoom and also a Game Time platform. Okay, moving on. We have held many webinars, seminars, and Zoom meetings through Zoom and also through YouTube live streaming. Almost all the videos are videotaped, recorded, and uploaded on our YouTube channel. So if you are interested, please go to our YouTube channel and maybe you can find the seminar and topics that you're interested. Okay, so last year in 2022, we switched to a more in-person mode. And also, so this annual conference was held purely in person, and we're able to invite many good speakers and well-known people from the Asian community, and also famous entrepreneurs, and to join this in-person conference with us. So next slide will show you some photos from the annual conference last year. We're very fortunate to be able to offer an in-person activity at this scale to the community. And you can see that more than 300 people have joined the banquet dinner with us. And please watch out for our notice for the annual conference this year, which will be April. And just a photo to show appreciation to all the staff and the volunteers who helped in this annual conference, and also in all the volunteer activities and events for us. And if you are willing to help and support by becoming a volunteer, so please contact us and let us know, and we'll be very happy to have you as a key resource. And these are our sponsors and also our partners that we work with in our events. Okay, so just in case you are interested to know what are the recent events we've done in the past, to give you an idea on the broad topics and also the variety of topics and issues we offer. So these are some activities from Q3 and Q4 last year. And you can also see that we not only offer technology talks, but we also partner with other speakers and organizations. We co-offer a few other topics, seminars in arts, in writing, and so on. Also, we do have an ongoing coding study group meeting, which is a meeting series that's happen almost every week or every 2 weeks. Okay, we hope to bring positive impacts to the Taiwanese and Chinese American engineering community. And we often hold networking events such as a barbecue or hiking, or just simple gather together to know more people to make more friends and to share experience. Okay, so for today, 2 groups from the Bay Area chapter are organizing this event. So one is Emerging Technology Group, which is from Dr. William Call, and also Electronic Design Technology Group from myself and Meng, who is the volunteer today. So, Dr. William Call, I will just show your slide quickly before hand over the microphone to you. I believe we're just a little bit over 7 p.m. and audience can't wait to hear your speech. So Dr. William Call received his education degree, including a doctorate degree from University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. And he has extensive 30 years experience in various industries and companies. And he's so productive in writing technical papers. And he also taught at UCLA Electrical Engineering before. And he currently teaches at Clean Technology and Emerging Technology courses at UCSC Silicon Valley Extension. So I'm sure people might have joined his past seminar events that he's such a sharing professional, and he has given more than 90 seminars in the past 10 years in various technologies. And most importantly, he's a technology watcher, learner, and teacher. So I should shut up and let Dr. William Call speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Yansu. Let me try to bring my presentation up.
Okay, great. We can see your slide.
You can see. Okay. So welcome everyone to the first webinar for the year 2023. As customary, every January, I tend to give a presentation on this year's technology trends and predictions. So tonight's presentation is going to cover the year 2023. Okay, this is my agenda for tonight's talk. First, I'm going to say a few words about technology predictions. Then in tonight's presentation, I'm going to cover both the long-term and the short-term. Long-term meaning for the decade, for 2020, starting 2020 to 2030, most of the important technologies that are happening within these 10 years. And then I'm going to zoom in into the year 2023. Both of these areas are going to be, are actually, there's been a lot of reports by well-known think tanks such as Forbes, Gartner, and so on. So a lot of my presentation is based on their research. So I want to give upfront credit for their work. I'm basically just making a report. And then I'll wrap up by giving a summary and the conclusion for tonight's presentation. So a few words about predictions. Predictions are not easy because actually entails both technical and business components. Not only that, but it also is influenced by time. However, predictions are very important because they could have very important impact on the business. Now, they are important because they can actually tell you ahead of time what's going to happen or what are technologies that will go away. The other thing is that not all good technologies succeed. There's many factors. They are listed on the last bullet. It's not only technology, it's engineering, it's marketing, social, even politics, and also the timing. Sometimes a product is well, too much ahead of its time, so it may not succeed. And then a few years later, they may mature and actually have a larger impact. So these are all the things about predictions in general. So for 2023, two main predictions, and none of these are probably a surprise to you. Everybody's aware that, well, let me just start from the first bullet. Technology, as I mentioned in the last slide, has impact on economics, it has impact on politics, and so on. Not only that, but the impact is not always positive. As everybody knows, technology is a double-edged sword. So sometimes it can be for the good, sometimes that can be for the worse. Okay. Now, in terms of the two main predictions, which everybody is aware because they have been so for the last 5 years or 7 years, the impact of social media and AI. So in social media, I think we're spending more and more time on social media. Social media will become much more personalized. Okay, so it will have impact to you directly and in your own customized way. One of the bad things about drawbacks about social media is, of course, people sometimes spend too much time on it, and it may cause some mental issues. You know, it may cause really people are engaging less with other people, and they are just on social media. In terms of AI, you know, we've been reporting on AI for the last, I guess, again, as I said, 5 to 7 years. The importance about this year's impact is that for the first time, AI may become actually more innovative than humans. Everybody knows that AI, people say that artificial intelligence, the drawback is that it cannot be creative. Okay, so it can do certain things very well. It can do analytics. It can compute much faster than people can, and so on. But usually is less creative than people. Well, actually, starting this year, AI will become more and more creative in terms of art, music, and so on. So this slide, don't worry about this slide. The reason why I'm showing this slide, so it's like an eye chart, is because this is the way that it came out. This is a sort of like info chart by the company called Wikibrands. Here on the lower right corner, it says Wikibrands. So I'm going to go over next the top 20 to 30 technologies that are going to be impactful and important for the next decade, for basically starting from 2020 to 2030. So on this slide, it shows 30 of them. Don't worry about reading this slide, because in the next couple of slides, I'll split them up and go over some of these technologies. Now, tonight's presentation, I'm not going to be able to go over each of these technologies in detail, because each of these technologies by themselves probably will take 1 hour to go over all the details. So the purpose here is to just list what are the important and key technologies for the next 10 years so that you are aware of it. And in subsequent presentations or seminars, I may be talking about some of these technologies in specific. Actually, for people who are listening to my, because I've been giving these type of seminars for the last 10 years, most of the topics that are listed on this slide, actually I've given already seminars on them, okay? So let's walk through some of them. So first, top 30. So let's just go over them. Again, the purpose of these slides is to just enumerate them. As I said, each of these topics can be presented in 1 hour or more. But here, the purpose is so that you are aware what are the key technologies that are going to be with us for the next 10 years. Okay, so AI probably started at least 7-8 years ago, and I've been reporting on AI almost every year. Machine learning and deep learning, different kinds of methods, new methods. Tonight we'll cover 1 or 2 new ones on AI. Okay, the other one is Internet of Things, and this is covers sensors and right now wearables. So a lot of things right now we wear it on ourselves, whereas smart glasses or clothing that can be used as display and so on. Mobile and social internet. Okay, this also has been with us for at least the last 10 years. With every generation of cell phones and so on, there's new and new advancements. Blockchain has been with us at least for at least 5 years. The key impact has been in cryptocurrencies. And we'll talk over a little bit about the DAOs tonight, just to give you some, that's distributed autonomous organizations. Okay, so we'll cover some of that today. Big data and data analytics, that also has been around with us for the last 7 to 8 years. All kinds of automation, machine automation, manufacturing automation, and so on. Robotics. So these are sometimes actually robotics and AI, they have been also sometimes mixed. Robots, there have been sometimes people say, well, robotics is also part of AI, or there's a branch of AI that worries about robotics. The other thing is that there's a proliferation of drones and autonomous vehicles where they are land-based, air-based, or under the sea. So very significantly in the Ukraine-Russian war, for instance, drones have been playing a very important role. So much so that the Air Force is not as important. If you look at the war, is the drones flying under the planes, and also the satellites that are in space that have actually had more significant impact than the Air Force. Okay, so everybody's actually afraid of flying the planes because they're afraid of getting shot down. But the drones that have no people in them, and also the capabilities of the satellites are the ones that are key in the war so far. Immersive media, VR, AR, and mixed reality is continuing. It also has started several years back, but with the Metaverse, I think they're going to be more and more focused on all these hybrid realities. And not only that, but combining the physical reality with the digital reality. Mobile technologies, we cover in past seminars, 5G. So basically for the decade from the 2020 to 2030 is all 5G. There are going to be different variants of it, 5G 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and so on. But 5G really, by definition, is defined as the mobile technology between 2020 and 2030. So people may start actually working on 6G, but 6G actually doesn't start until after 2030. All right. So it's actually each generation actually lasts for about 10 years. Last, cloud computing. I guess everybody have heard enough about cloud computing. And right now it's a little bit combined now with the edge computing and so on. 3D printing also has been around for at least 10 years, because I remember that the first course I taught was more than 10 years ago. 3D printing is additive manufacturing. Actually, people even say in one of my next slides going to be 3D and 4D, and I'll explain what the 4D is. Customer experience, CX stands for customer experience. Energy technology. For around 2009, I left the semiconductors. I retired from industry and I went into clean tech. So that is still ongoing. Actually, my next seminar in February is going to talk a little bit about fusion, nuclear fusion energy. The other thing that is very hot right now in terms of the energy area is storage. Batteries, I guess, still are not up to expectations. So right now I'm reading a lot that moving the lithium ion batteries may be taken over by sodium ion batteries. Okay, cybersecurity, that's another thing that people, 2 or 3 things that people worry about the cloud and so on. One is security and the other one is privacy. So there are a lot of startups in Silicon Valley that are focusing on cybersecurity. Voice assistants, this is about interfaces between humans and computers. We move from the text-based type of interface to voice. So everybody now today wants to make a query. You usually ask in the form of a question. You do it through voice rather than typing a text search. Nanotechnology has been around at least 10 years because I remember before I retired, I even talk about nanotechnology. This is a never-ending thing because we always find new materials and they are also getting smaller and smaller. So nanotechnology is anything that the human eye cannot see, is 10 to the minus 9. So that is also has been around for as long as I've been talking, giving this type of technology updates. Collaborative technology, where this in terms of crowdsourcing, trying to fund something that is also pretty current for the last 7 years. Health technology, well, everybody's aware that with the COVID, there's a lot of advances in the medical field. In China, in India, they had the thing called the health passports. People have everything on their cell phone where it's sort of like a green, yellow, and red light, where you can go and take public transportation or not. Human-computer interaction. So this actually, it has starts with facial recognition, and there's all kinds of biometrics, facial, retina, the eye retina, the things about your palms, even the way you walk and so on. And the last one on this slide is anything related to spatial, things like global positioning systems, navigation, and so on. Advanced materials. A lot of young people ask me, what is something that they can go into the university and they can still find job after they graduate? Because right now everything moves so fast. And I always tell them, one way to get is to get into new materials, because materials, there's always going to be new materials. Just even like the batteries that I mentioned a while back, is that from lithium you move to sodium and so on. So there's also new materials in nanotechnology, in cement, and so on. New touch interfaces. Okay, so actually Yansu's company is actually working on touch. So beyond text or visual type of interface, the next one is the hearing, audio, and the next one is probably touch and so on. So a lot of the metaverse hardware like haptics is all based on touch. wireless power, clean technology. So one of the things that you'll see in tonight's presentation is that everybody is tagging with sustainability, because it's not enough to make progress on technology, but also we want to worry about the planet. So, I mean, the clear example is that right now, for the last couple of years, the extreme weather has been very, very significant. So, you know, including California. So it rains where they're supposed, you know, we in California, we're supposed to worry about droughts, and now the sun is a course that is never ending. So all of that is because of the climate change, and climate change is because we have not taken good care of the environment. Quantum computing, that's the next big leap in terms of computing speed. Okay, so if you want to reach the exascale, exascales is 10 to the 18th power. Quantum computing is going to be at least 1,000 times faster than the traditional computing. So it's going to be a big leap. Smart cities, I guess the US is also embarking. They just passed an infrastructure bill. So they're going to upgrade a lot of the technology, the networking, wireless, and so on for cities. One thing that is complementing the cloud technology is the edge and fog tech computing. Especially there's many areas where edge computing is required because some applications cannot live with the long latencies. So if, for instance, if you want to have a smart driving car, you cannot wait for the signal to go to the cloud and return, because by that time you already hit somebody. So a lot of the computing has to be right on the device. That's what is called edge computing. Faster and better internet, you know, from 5G. I also gave a talk toward end of last year about satellite internet, because there are many areas where the signals cannot travel well, especially like if you're at sea, or you're traveling around the desert, or you're climbing Mount Everest, you know, so the signals cannot reach there because there's no towers that can reach there. So you need to go and bounce the signal through a satellite. Proximity technologies, this is all related to the wireless, you know, various, there's different frequencies and so on. And new screens. So this is maybe a future talk that Yansu can talk about, screen display technology. Okay, so that was by Wikibrands, so that, you know, it's not like we're on one side of the view, it's like only by a certain company. So usually I try to present more than one company, and then you can calibrate against each other. Now, invariably, you're going to see repetitive things. You're going to see a lot of them that are on one list are also on the other list, which is natural, because if we have two lists that are completely orthogonal, then that would be actually a surprise. So you can see there's going to be a lot of technologies that are mentioned in both lists. There are also maybe 2 or 3 technologies that are on one list but not on the other list. That's also common, because different research organizations take a different view. It depends also where you're more technology oriented versus business oriented or organization oriented. So here you can just look at it. AI, IoT, those are the same as the list from Wikibrand. Big data, wearables. Now this one, the fifth one was not, did not appear in the previous one. Well, that's smart places. Okay, smart places, intelligent and smart places. It could be smart homes, it could be smart buildings where you work, or it could be smart cities. Okay, it's basically a location where everything has the latest in technology. Okay, blockchain, I think was on the R1. In here, they combine the cloud and edge into one. Okay, AR, VR, MR, that's in both. Digital twins, that was not in the previous list. Digital twins is actually something that's going to be key in the metaverse, and as well as in smart manufacturing. It's basically a replica, but it's sort of like a twin. A twin meaning a complementary twin. So it's something that is digital that supplements the physical. Okay. So if you have questions, you can ask me. Maybe I can expand a little bit more about which a digital twin is. Basically a digital twin that complements or supplements the physical world, either us or something in the physical world. Okay. Natural language processing, that is actually part of AI. It's a more and more language oriented and it's more human oriented. Okay. Voice interpreter was another one. I think the facial and the biometrics was also on that one. Robots, autonomous vehicles. One word about autonomous vehicles. I mean, you can see there's a lot of reports. People are already talking about self-driving taxis and so on, and self-driving delivery, like by Amazon and so on. But in terms of really driverless cars, it's probably still 3 years away, at least. Okay, as I said, 5G and edge computing has to be up to speed before that can actually happen. That means a driverless car. Okay. This one is not in the previous list, genomics. So genomics is the advances that have been made in the bioengineering world, where you can actually customize medicine, because every person has a different sequence of genomes, right? So based on that, they can determine what disease or illness you are more prone to. Okay, what are some of the areas you should be more aware? So every person is different, and the genomics will allow what they call personalized medicine. Okay, machine co-creativity, that was also not in the last one. Basically, right now machines are also becoming creative. I'll talk a little bit in some of the future slides. Digital platforms, drones, that was our one. Cybersecurity was another one. So there are about 4 or 5 that were not in the first list, and the other, 60–70% are the same, which is to be expected. All right. Okay, quantum computing was also on that one. Robotic process automation, that's basically just automation, things that are automated, whereas machines and so on. It can be machinery, hardware, or it can be a process. Okay. This one was not in the other one. Mass personalization and micro moments. Okay. Mass personalization, that means that you're trying to personalize things, but you can do it on a massive scale. Okay. Maybe one of the possible areas like this is like 3D printing. Okay. Micro moments is basically is sort of like responding to a customer need at the exact moment. So this is sort of like, one is that the personalization and the mass is a little bit sort of like, the divergent. Personalized is that is unique for each person, but then sometimes there are also something that can be applied to a large set of people. So that's where the mass comes on. The micro moments is that to zoom in into a very tiny slice of time. Okay, 3D and 4D printing. Just one word about 4D. What's 4D printing? We live in a 3D world, so you have XYZ, right? So 4D printing is where the process is not only you can create models and so on, but it actually is self-building. So an example of this is that you can shoot a satellite to space, and then the satellite can be automatically assembled together by itself in space. Okay, so you don't ship all the satellite parts to space and send the people to assemble it, but all the solar panels, everything can be automatically be unfolded and built by itself. So it's a sort of self-built. That's called the fourth dimension, okay? Nanotechnology, I think, goes on that one also. Okay, so so let's talk about now. So we covered now up to this slide is that we cover all the important technologies that is going to be with us in the next 10 years. Okay, not to say that next year there may be some ones that will add to the list, but at least everything that we cover in the last two presentations are going to be with us for the next 10 years. So one word about technology trend. A technology trend doesn't really last just like 1 year or 2 years. Sometimes it can last 3 or 4 years. It can last 10 years. Okay. Example of 10 years is like the 5G, the Metaverse. You know, they're not going to just come and go in the next 1 or 2 years. They may be with us for a period of time. So here now we are zooming into now the focus on 2023. Okay. So we mentioned earlier that two of the areas that will be again impactful for 2023, one is AI, one is social media. So on the AI front is that the focus in 2023 will be augmentation of the workers, is that how to assist the workers. Okay, now people have always been worrying about, well, one day maybe all the AI and the robots are going to be replacing all the humans, and then the humans are going to be running out of jobs. Well, if you look at the past history of technologies, invariably there's some part of it that is true. You know, some of the things will be automated and will no longer require people to do the job because the machine can do it faster and it doesn't get tired. Okay, but there are also, with the new technology, it also requires new job. You will also build and create new jobs that were not there before. Okay, let me just give you one example so that people say, well, give me one example. How about drones? Okay, drones, now the planes or there's a lot of aerial machinery that does not require a pilot. Well, that's not really true. It's true that there's no human on the plane or on the drone, but it's still driven by people by remote control in a base. Okay, and also there will be other things that will be created because of drones. Okay, so there will be new jobs that are created by drones. One other thing to think about in terms of AI is that we mentioned that AI will become more and more creative. It will surpass actually people in some cases. So this is the synthetic context. Synthetic means that you will create data, okay, and create things. Okay, so before people say, well, let me program the AI machine so that it can draw a picture in the Picasso or Rembrandt style. Okay, or can you make new music that sounds like the Beatles? Okay, so more and more the AI software, hardware, and so on will be able to do more creative work. Okay, so that's why I say, before people say, well, AI can do a lot of things, but it cannot be creative like a human. Actually, that is becoming now questionable, because now actually there's new paints or new pictures that are painted by AI, not by humans. And maybe you can also write a new piece of music. So this is also a significant step for AI, okay, in terms of the creativity part. Natural language algorithms, I think we are all trying to make the AI, the robots, be more human-like, so that when they communicate with us, they communicate with us through a language, through our natural language. Okay, like here in my last sentence on this slide says that For instance, if you have a metaverse and you have an avatar that represents you, okay, maybe in the near distance, when I not only retire, but I don't give seminars anymore, Bill Gates' avatar will give the presentation, and then he will sound like Bill. Okay, so that's what is meant by this bullet here at the end. Okay, the metaverse. I know that the metaverse is a very polemic topic because it has come and it has gone a little bit. Some people say, well, you know, Mark Zuckerberg stirred up something around October of 2021, and everybody sort of like followed him a little bit because companies like Microsoft and Apple and everybody sort of like jump into it a little bit, more or less. But on the other hand, also it hit the brick, and you know, Meta lost a lot of money. Okay, that's more from, I think, just to share my personal perspective about the metaverse. There are two parts of it. One is the technology part. Okay, just like, for instance, when people talk about blockchain is different than Bitcoin. Okay, so the metaverse, it has technology behind it. Okay, and the technology invariably will continue. But I think that in the case of Facebook, I think my own assessment, you know, what happened over the last year is that they jump in with too much too soon. You know, Mark just putting, you know, too much money, and he thought that it could, you know, create the whole thing in 1 or 2 years. So I think that it's just how you run the race. You have to distinguish between a sprint versus a long distance race, okay? But there are a lot of aspects about the metaverse, such as it's actually more immersive. That means that more immersive is that the people are no longer watching it from the outside, but you're actually being part of it. You're walking into it, okay? So that's more immersive. It's also more decentralized. Okay. And the last bullet, it says that right now, our center of our universe is always the smartphone. That will probably start changing in the next few years. As a matter of fact, according to Elon Musk, it's actually a smart car. Everything is going to be inside the car instead of the smartphone. But anyway, so there will be new ways to access the thing. So basically, you will go from smartphone to something else. For one thing, the metaverse, or part of the metaverse, is VR. Okay, and VR requires the helmet thing, right? The goggles. So it's going to be beyond the capability of smartphone. Okay, a digital editable world. Okay, we talked about in the last slide about the metaverse, that there's going to be a digital world that we live in, that we are part of, and then there's going to be a twin parallel world that's called a digital world. That's called the meta. That's what is called the metaverse. In the future, all-encompassing thing is called. That's what is called the metaverse. We have our own planet Earth, and then beside it, there's another replica in the digital sense. Okay, now, not only would there be something corresponding to the physical world, but the thing that is going to be in my last bullet says unlimited possibility is that you can also edit and change things. Okay, so think about the next two bullets. One is that we talk about nanotechnology. If you can use new materials, and then you can alter the materials at the same time. Okay, so one clear example is there's one technology that's called, I think they're doing the cement. Okay, so right now everything is built with, houses are built with cement, but then after many years, the thing decays, and then people say, well, you have to go and fix it. Well, there's going to be like self-healing cement. Okay, so imagine that not only can you create things, but in order to sustain it and maintain it, you can edit it on the fly. You can correct it. Okay, so that's a very powerful thing. Now, if you extrapolate not only to hard things, but also to any living organisms, you can see that the whole thing is unlimited. You know, this is sort of like boundless, right? Now, I'm not saying that this is necessarily good. As I mentioned, technology is good and it's also bad, okay? But that's another discussion. But think about the possibilities that you not only can create, you're going to not only have a digital world that will be in parallel to our physical world, but you can also make changes to it. So one of the things about blockchain and so on is that decentralization. Okay, so before everything was done through a centralized thing. You go to the bank and everything is controlled by the bank. Okay, now with the blockchain and so on, you can go and distribute the stuff to many, many machines. Okay, so decentralized networking. Now, so there's a new term, I don't know where people have heard about it, called DAO. DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. This is just one slide on DAO. So a DAO is a legal structure that has no central governing body. Okay, the members are people that have the common goal, and they're all like token holders. Okay, and the power is distributed. So it's not like a central control by one entity or organization. So things that are starting to materialize right now is that in cryptocurrencies, in blockchain, in NFTs and so on, this is the first area where DAOs are appearing. Okay, so again, this is something that could be just a separate 1 hour presentation on DAO. Okay, but tonight we'll just have time to mention them. Hyper-connected intelligent world. So one thing that has been around with us for several years and they appeared in both lists is the IoT, the Internet of Things. When the internet started, it was between people-to-people connection. Now things are moving from things to things. And the ultimate objective is everything to everything. So whereas people to people, people to things, things to things, okay, there's interconnections to everything. Okay, so one of the things that is required for this type of interactions is that you need to define some global standards and protocols, because otherwise, how does your thermostat talk to your refrigerator? Okay, that's an example. Okay, so back from work, you can program it, something to happen so that, you know, by the time you start jumping onto your car to go home, you already can start cooking your dinner, you know, at the same time and so on. Well, there are a lot of things that need to work to each other. You know, how does the thing get from the refrigerator to your microwave or to your oven and so on. So things that are manufactured by different companies, they have to work together. So that's only possible through standards and common protocols. So I mentioned that besides all the advances in technology, and technology is advancing in all fronts, in all the areas, you know, including, you know, bioengineering like genomics. But one thing that we should not forget is to say that if we don't have a planet, we don't have anything. Okay, so just like, for instance, at the personal level, if you don't have health, no matter how much money you have, it's immaterial, right? So you can have all the technology that you want, but if the planet dies because we don't take good care of it, you know, anything really is useless. You can have all the technology, but if there's no planet, nobody can survive. So I think that this is an extra factor that, along with any technology development, we need to think about how green is the technology. So for example, with cloud technology, there's like servers. Well, people realize that, well, the servers consume so much energy and so much electricity. So people say, well, how can we make it green so that, you know, all the servers and the data centers don't really create a lot of pollution, okay, or consume so much energy, okay. So this is something that we need to think whenever we do new technology. We have to think, well, is this thing that we're working on, is it green? Is it sustainable? Is it not hurting the planet? Okay. A few more words later on sustainability. Okay. So I cover some of the things that top technologies by Forbes. I need to probably move faster because this actually is going to be pretty long stuff by Gartner. Okay. Okay, so let me just keep going. So Gartner basically also defined the top 10 technologies for 2023. And they're organized along three themes. One is called optimize, one is scale, and third one is pioneer. Okay. Optimize is to improve the things, right? Scale is that is it scalable? Can you do it not only for a limited set, but for a larger number, right? And pioneer means actually creativity. So there are 10 trends that Gartner defines along optimize. So we'll go over each of these separately. And then the last one is the one that I mentioned last, the sustainable technology. So three themes: optimize, scale, and pioneer. Each of them has one trend. Okay, we'll go over each of these. And then the last one that supplements everything is sustainable technology. So the first one, optimize. So these trends optimize IT systems. So what do we mean by we're trying to optimize? We're trying to, so that we can provide greater reliability, okay? Make it easier to have a decision. You know, using analytics, you can analyze the data and make a decision, and maintain value and integrity. Okay, so there are three trends out of the 10 along for optimized. One is called digital immune systems. Second one is applied observability, and third one is AI tourism. Okay, so for people who work the 9-to-5 jobs, you know, some of these terms, not everybody is really aware of it. So at least by the end of tonight, at least you have heard something about it, and you can invest your own time as to what areas you are interested. But I think that this is the part where hopefully I'm adding some value to promote some of these ideas to people who does not have time like I do. Okay, a digital immune system. What is a digital immune system? So a digital immune system, that means that it protects the digital stuff, okay? So it uses things like observability. Observability is something that also go over a little bit. In order, you have to see it in order to make improvements, right? So you have to be, it has to be observable. Also increased testing, automatic fixing of it, improve the reliability, and so on. So by having a digital immune system, you can increase the resilience. That means that the products and services and systems can last longer. That's what resilience means, okay? So the other thing is that with that, it's sort of like buying an insurance, okay? So with DIS, your organization can better deal with some of the risks and failures, okay? And there's a sort of a timeline that says by 2025, the organizations that invest in DIS, okay, it will increase customer satisfaction and decrease the downtime by 80%. So this is just a forecast by Gartner. Okay, so here we're defining what the trend is and the timeline by which this will become adopted. Okay, so right now we're 2022. So within 3 years, a lot of companies will start adopting these trends. So we mentioned that the digital immune system will actually impact 76% of most of the products in a company. And the things in this wheel are the ones that we just mentioned in the previous slide, like observability and so on. This is the ways that people are dealing with the DIS, okay? And what's the result is that it will reduce the downtime by 80%, okay? Okay, apply observability. So again, definition of observability is that in order to do something, you have to be able to observe the data, right? So what is observable? I'll show a next slide as to how you apply observability at all levels. So by being able to observe things, you can make changes and also you can react faster. Okay. So if you have observability, you can reduce the latency. Latency is basically the turnaround time. Okay. So by 2026, again, it has advantage. The 70 organizations that apply observability will have much shorter latency for decision making. So that's affects the speed, affects the speed that you or your organization reacts to things. So I mentioned in the previous slide is that it depends on where you apply the observability. Apply to the data, to the content, to the analytics part of, or to the decision making. Okay, so observability is can be applied at each individual level. Okay. Okay, this one is also related to AI. So TRISM means trust, risk, and security management. Okay. Unfortunately, my Zoom header is blocking my top of my slide, so sometimes I don't see my whole slide. But you guys should see everything in your viewer screen. So as I said, everywhere the people, not only at the personal level, but also as organization, everybody's worried about risks, about security, about privacy, and so on. So AI, this also TRISM applies to AI as well, because a lot of things before, when AI just started, it was sort of like a black box, and say, well, you throw in something to the black box and the black box tells you something. Well, people then start saying, well, could you explain how did the black box come out with that decision? So that's called the explainable AI and so on. Okay. Okay, by 2026, organizations that operationalize AI, we see their models achieve 50% result improvement. Okay, so this is just a metric. So that why doing this? Okay, so there's always some metrics that justify it. So, okay, well, you have 50% improvement. Okay, let me show you on this slide why we need the TRISM, trust, risk, and security management. Okay, because if you look at actually the last 5-7 years, AI is everywhere, right? I mean, you apply AI to no matter what field you are in, you apply AI. And you try to combine data and analytics. Okay, so since we're going to be relying more and more on AI, we need to be able to trust it. Okay, and be able to understand how AI is reaching a certain recommendation. Okay, so basically, in a nutshell, that's what the rationale for having Trism applied to AI. Okay, let me just take a look at my watch. Okay, so I'm going to speed up a little bit. The second theme is scaling. Okay, scaling means that you can apply to certain size, but what happens if you increase the size? Is that scalable? Okay, so there are 3 trends out of the 10. One is called industry cloud platforms. Industry cloud platform is a platform that's related to a specific vertical, a specific industry. Okay, platform engineering, right now people are saying everything is done through a platform. Okay, so that because platform provides you the comprehensive setup, right? So you don't deal with individual tools and individual processes. You want to package into a platform so that everything is embedded in the platform. And then the wireless value, that means that just the mobile technology. So industry cloud platforms, software, everybody is aware of these 3, right? Software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. And then on top of that, you apply it to a certain industry. For instance, in medical, okay, or in finance, or in engineering, certain kinds of engineering, or energy. Okay, so you have not only that, but you tailor it to a specific industry, because there are certain unique capabilities and features for each industry. So by 2027, 50% of the enterprises will start using industry cloud platforms. Okay, this is a very too busy slide. I just want to, if you want, you can request this slide and you can read it in specifics. But basically, is at the bottom you see that the SaaS, PaaS, and the IaaS, infrastructure, platform, and software as a service, and then you do it through a lot of innovations. So this is the list of innovations: the packaged business capabilities, marketplaces, data fabric, fusion teams, infrastructure, and so on. And these are the things that are provided through each of these. Okay, the things on the top is what is each of these individual innovations can provide. Okay, platform engineering. I think everybody, as I already explained, a platform means that it provides a set of tools and capabilities, and it's packaged for you. Okay, so that will increase the productivity, and also reduce a lot of burden that individual development teams have to do. So minimizes the work that an application team has to do, because they provide you with a platform. Okay, so by 2026, 80% of software engineering organizations will establish platform teams. Okay, so I'm going to just skip this slide, but basically this is the thing about the platform engineering. Everything, first of all, we're all engineers, so it's good to develop an engineering platform. And then, of course, there's people who do that. So that's a platform engineering team. Okay. So, and then from there, you can either automate it, you can pass it on to the development team, and so on. Wireless value. Okay, so basically the thing with this is that there's many ways of wireless. I'll show you in the next slide all the different wireless standards depending on the frequency and so on. And the other thing that is important is that it's not only the wireless does not provide not only connectivity, but it also gives you some other information, such as location and so on. So here's the thing we're talking about. So on the bottom, you see that there's, for different frequencies, you have things like 4G, 5G, the different Wi-Fi's, the Zigbee, and all the ultra and the very high frequency stuff. You also have this thing where are you applying to what type of devices? And then what's your objective? Is it people focused or thing focused? So the thing is that it does not provide you not only with a connectivity or information transfer, but actually it also provides you the location. So it's not only connectivity, but it actually gives you information on the location. It also has a lot of sensing, even network and the energy and power. Okay, so this type of wireless connectivity, it provides not only information, but also some other, well, there's additional information besides just the connectivity information. Okay, the last thing, Pioneer, super apps, adaptive AI, and Metaverse. So we mentioned that every year we'll talk about AI, and every year we talk about a new aspect about AI. So we'll cover about what adaptive AI is. Okay, so this is the set of trends that are more on the creativity side. That's why it's called under the label of Pioneer. Okay, a super app. What's a super app? Well, just like the word says, you use an application, but it's a super application. So first of all, it combines several capabilities into one. Okay, and not only that, but it provides a platform. Okay, so it makes the user it makes the user be able to handle this much easier because everything is already done for you. So that's what a super apps is. By 2027, more than 50% of the global population will be using super apps. Okay, super apps is another way to say it's a sort of like a package app for you. Okay, so if you look at it, super apps will be in almost every area. It will be in the finance, okay, fintech. It will be in biomedical, healthcare, digital commerce. You know, that's the internet commerce, in the workplace, and so on. So the super apps is going everywhere. So it's going global, and also not only at the personal level, but also at the workplace level. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but if you compare the super app against a traditional web and mobile app and composite application app, is that it has a lot of features where the super app handles it, but some of the previous methods do not. Okay, so right now I'm looking at my watch, 8:05. So I think I'm okay time-wise. I will definitely leave at least 10 minutes for Q&A, all right? Okay, adaptive AI. So just like the word says, it's adaptive. Adaptive means that you can change on the fly. And based on the input and the feedback, it can change it, okay? So what that allows you to do is that allows you to rapidly develop, deploy, and adapt and maintain it, okay? And the expected timeline where this thing will start making an impact is that by 2026, most of the enterprises will have adopted AI, adaptive AI, okay? Something that is, it can be reshaped and readjusted for that. It's not like a hardcore application of one AI form. Okay, so what adaptive AI buys you? It allows you to respond faster. It also it can allows you to customize it. Okay, so the other thing is that the adaptive AI, it goes around in circles, so it keeps adjusting. Okay, I do hear some noise on the background, but okay, so I'm getting fine because right now the speed is going fine. The last one, Metaverse. So I've given a complete course on Metaverse. I'm not going to talk about too much about Metaverse tonight because there's been full hour presentations on the Metaverse. I'm just going to list here some of the more characteristics, okay? The more significant characteristics, okay? So first of all, a Metaverse is something that supplements the physical world, okay? So it's an alternative universe that supplements the physical world. okay? And it has a lot of characteristics on it. So we mentioned some of the technologies that will be available by 2027. So don't read too much saying, okay, well, I thought that the metaverse is dead because now that Mark Zuckerberg lost billions of dollars, the whole thing is sort of like going away. The technology is not going away, so things like the Web3, things like that will continue to evolve, okay? So you need to make a distinction about what the metaverse is. So I'll be able to answer some questions if you guys have some, but some of the components is spatial computing and digital twins. I already talked about digital twins. So a quick definition of metaverse. Metaverse is a collective virtual shared space. So first of all, the focus is mostly on the virtual side, okay? So metaverse supplements our current planet, our current physical world, okay? And it's created by the convergence of VR, AR, and so on. It combines the physical and the digital. And some of the characteristics that is persistent and is immersive, okay? So now, metaverse is applied to almost everything, okay? So it has a lot of technologies. When it started, it was mostly focused on gaming, okay? And then now everybody is into medicine, is into other areas as well, okay? It's into real estate, is into NFTs, and so on. Okay, so because of time, I'm not going to, but there are 4 key things to watch for as the evolution of the metaverse. So maybe, in the next month or so, in the next few months, you're going to see a paper or a talk on a digital twin. Okay, digital twin is also a component of it, also is an enabler for the metaverse. Okay, the digital twin is the twin for the physical. Okay, it's the digital twin for the physical component of it. Web3, they're going to happen. Right now we're Web 2, two-dimensional. It's going to evolve into Web 3. So we're the metaverse. So you have to be careful how you define the metaverse. Okay. Okay, spatial computing. I think I just want to summarize. So spatial computing is basically, you have AR, VR, and so on, and MR, mixed reality. So basically you have the spatial means, of course, the space is the physical space, is the 3D location of it. So spatial computing uses the space around us as a medium to interact with technology. That's sort of like a good word, sentence or word that I come up with, what spatial computing is. The last but not least is the sustainable. This is also the last trend. I already mentioned in the past to say that not only we have to worry about development technology, we want to also make sure that it is sustainable, okay? So quickly going over, sustainable can be described by this chart, okay? What we call the 3 Ps, okay? People in the past already worry about the economics, trying to make money. Every business is trying to make money, okay? But a lot of times they sacrifice the people and the environment. Okay, so planet means environment. So for instance, we try to sell cars and they consume a lot of gas and then they pollute the air, right? So we're not giving enough weight to the planet. So we have to consider all 3 of it. The intersection of all the 3 spheres is defined as sustainability. So when we worry not only about making money, but we worry about the well-being of the people, and we also worry about the well-being of the planet. That's what is called sustainable. So I'm going to just skip this slide. Okay, it's just one more slide on the sustainable. We mentioned there are 3 components. Sustainable means that you have to worry about the environment. You have the environment, worry about the people, the social aspect, and also finally the governance. Governance can also mean like the profit, governance of the company, governance of the society. Okay, so that is what is all embedded. It's called the ESG, environmental, social, and governance. Okay. So here is a picture form of it. So environment, social, and governance. And each of these, the environment, everybody's know about the air and the energy and the water, right? The social means health, education and so on. And the government means the government and the privacy, security, and so on. Okay, so let me see. I can finish it in 5 minutes. So we covered 10 trends for 2023. Okay, so now bring your camera to focus. Okay, so every company or every individual, you have your own goals, and people's goals and companies' goals are different from one from another, right? So you yourself may say, okay, I'm more interested in growing my revenue. Okay, another guy may say, okay, I want to make sure that I can really work on the data. Okay, the other one to say, okay, I'm worried about HR, retaining the people. So different companies and different businesses have different goals. And we mentioned the 10 trends for 2023. So this slide shows on the left-hand side different goals. If your goal is not here, you can define your own goal, add it to here. And then on the right-hand side are the 10 trends for 2023. Okay. And you say, so the next slide shows a couple examples. So let's say that you want to attract and retain talent. So you go say, this is your goal. You follow this thing. Okay, I want to have sustainable technology. I want to use super apps. Okay. I want to make sure that I'm following the right blue ones here. Here, going to platform engineering, and then going to Metaverse. So that's if you want to try. So different goals will require different components out of the 10 traits that is described. Okay. If you look at the bottom, I'm going to expand in the next slide. We talk about 10 trends. Okay. So since not a single company have enough resources to work on all 10 at the same time, you have to go and define your timeline and your prioritization. What is more important to you? Okay. Now, if you say, well, everything is about equal weight, I want to know how you prioritize in terms of time. So there are some that are longer term, like the Metaverse. Here I put it, nothing is going to happen within the 3 years. Actually, Metaverse may not materialize until maybe 5 to 10 years. Okay. Now, something that you can work right now is just make it sustainable, because no matter what, you have to work on sustainability from the get-go. Okay. So this is in terms of time scale. Each of the 10 falls under near term, medium term, or longer term. Okay. So this slide shows you, if you want to prioritize, you say, well, everything has equal weight, because I'm not following any of the goals that I want, or my goal is different than the other ones, then you follow this one. Okay, this is then just on time, 8:15. So in tonight's presentation, I've covered both the longer term or medium term. Longer term is actually 10 years. For me, it's actually longer term. 3 to 5 years is intermediate term, and 1 to 2 years is short term. So we cover all the technologies that are important that are on our radar screen for the next 10 years, from 2020 that started 2 years ago to the year 2030. We also provide trends that are specific to this year, 2023. So this is the title of tonight's presentation is 2023. Okay, keep in mind that a trend is not something like comes and goes. Okay, it's not like a fad, right? So a trend usually lasts, quite a few years, minimum maybe 2 or 3 years, because it requires time to mature, and it can even go beyond 10 years. So The last bullet basically says that you need to figure out how you're going to adopt or use any of the trends if you feel like it's valuable. Out of the 10 trends that I present today, you may say, well, there are 2 or 3 that I don't care. Okay, that's also fine. So you need to make up your own decision as to what is relevant to you. Okay, so which are relevant? And if you have several, what's the order of adoption? Which one do you work first? Okay, and the last one is that how fast do you move it? Say, okay, I'm going to allocate 1 year to work on this thing. Okay, and so on. So what, the order and the speed. All right, and that's it. So before I start taking questions, I have one sort of like a synopsis, a preview. Like if you go and watch a movie, there was also always they show you the movie that is coming next. So I want to just show you for the month of February, my seminar is going to be on the topic of nuclear fusion breakthrough. So basically in December 20, I think I don't see the top. I think December 13 of last year, the Secretary for Energy, she made an announcement that the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory, the NIF, National Ignition Facility, they just made a very significant breakthrough. And people have been working on this breakthrough for the last 70 to 80 years. Okay, so they say, well, we at least achieved the breakthrough. So that's nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion is different than nuclear fission. So in my next seminar in February, I'll be talking about the breakthrough, the difference between nuclear fusion versus nuclear fission. So nuclear plants that we see today are based on nuclear fission. The fission means splitting of atoms. Fusion means merging of atoms, okay? So we'll talk about nuclear fusion, the 2 ways that people are developing this, inertial confinement and magnetic confinement. This is the how. And also, right now, it's only just a scientific breakthrough. So it will take a lot of years to make it into engineering. So what are the challenges and so on here? So that's what's coming in February. Okay, so I'm done. Open for any questions or whatever that I want to do.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Carl, for such a comprehensive study of the new technology trends. So while you take a break, and
okay.
I will start sharing just 1-2 slides, our QR codes. If people want to follow and want to receive future announcements, please do so. And also, in addition to Dr. Carl's next seminar, we are holding an energy seminar on January 24th from a research director coming from Breakthrough Energy, a Bill Gates venture. He'll be talking about climate changes and policymaking and also investments. So now is our question time, Q&A time. I do see one question from the audience. Are there any EV battery recyclable assessments?
Did he type in a chat question, or do you want to rephrase the question? So because I didn't hear it.
Yeah, the question coming from audience is electric car battery recycle assessments.
Oh, electric cars? Okay.
Yeah, so, on the battery recycle assessments of electrical cars.
Okay, so I'll talk about a little bit about electric cars. Right now, actually, I would say that the current, first of all, let's talk about electric cars and batteries first, okay? So right now, the battery technology is definitely not up to snuff, okay? It's not really in an ideal state yet. Because if you look at the news, there's always some sort of like something is in the news. Either a Tesla car ran into some problems and it burned and so on, right? So not only the battery has problem, but also the controlling software probably is not mature enough. Okay, so every person is different. Some people say, well, I want to be at the leading edge. So anything new that comes out, I want to go and try it. So that's up to them. Okay. Right now, to me, I think it's still the technology is probably more than halfway there, but it's not really reached the 80% yet. So if you look at it, the battery, if you want to drive from Northern California to LA, right now you cannot make it in one scoop because your battery will last you only 2/3 of the way. And the charging time takes still too long, right? And there's still danger that if your car hits a metal on the road and it creates a spark, the car may burn. So, that's something that is personal. Everybody, wants different things. So people say, well, I want to drive the coolest thing or no. So right now, if you were asked me, I would still go with at best is a hybrid car. You can use electric portion of it within the city, and then if you want to drive intra-city, then you can rely on gasoline. In terms of complete automation, I mentioned that driverless cars are probably still, I would say, at least 3 years away. Okay, because the edge computing has to be there and the 5G maturity has to be there. There's a lot of technology, but the thing is not mature yet. So a self-driving car cannot react fast enough to be without the driver. So I would say today, in the next 3 years, you still have a human pilot, and then the car can assist or aid the driver, but it cannot completely take over. I don't know. People are welcome to ask follow-up questions. I don't know where I answered the item that the person that asked was concerned about.
Okay, yeah, just add my own 2 cents to the question, to the battery recycle part of the question. So we do know that EV cars now run on lithium-ion batteries, which can degrade pretty quickly. So that's why the cruising range will drop over the years pretty quickly. And with this degradation, also because the cost to manufacture lithium-ion batteries is pretty high. So it is desirable and probably profitable to recycle batteries for other use, for example, for energy storage. So which has less requirement than EV cars. And also, I have heard some companies start a battery recycle business. So if that answered the question. And okay, we have another question. Okay, another question.
Just to finish up on the battery, when you say cycle, is that swappable? Because if you recall, there at some point in time, people say, well, we cannot wait 2 hours to charge the battery, right? So you say, well, you go and drive to wherever your battery takes you, and then they swap the battery, a new battery in, and then your battery you leave your own battery there, and then you get a new battery. So then it takes the time to change the battery. So that's one. The other thing that is in the works right now is a sodium ion. But sodium ion, this is a topic for another seminar, but sodium ion has its own problems. But sodium ion is much cheaper than lithium ion, but it's the volume is bigger, and also it weighs more, but it costs much less than lithium ion. Anyway, so let's go on to the next one, next question.
Okay, I think the same person also asked a second question on is it possible to have all cars electric in California in 2035?
If you ask me, probably, and let me give you why. 2035 is a long ways, many years away. Okay, so as I mentioned in my talk, near term is 2 to 3 years, right? Medium term is probably up to 2030, and 2035. If you are asking about 2035, to me that's already long term. Now there's a theorem, that I don't know, people have heard about it. But if not, here it is, the theorem. People say that people are too optimistic in terms of the near-term goals and too pessimistic on long-term goals. Okay, what does that mean? Is that people, if you remember, people have been talking about self-driving cars for the last 5 years. Say, oh, it's supposed to already happen, okay? But it never happened, right? I mean, it's always 2 years away, okay? So that means that people are expecting too much. People underestimate the time that it takes for something to happen. So that's the near term. They are too optimistic. On the other side, people are too pessimistic on what happens in the long term. So let's say we have a goal for the year 2030. Okay. Right now, what the theorem says is that it will actually happen before 2030. So people are too pessimistic. People say, well, it will take that long. But because the speed of the technology is moving, actually it may take less. It will happen before. So coming back to the question that the person asked, in 2035, I think it will be there. It will be all electric. That's more than 10 years away. So definitely it will be there. That's my question. By that time, I'm already retired. So everything that I said tonight, it doesn't matter.
Very good. Very dialectic explanation of the question.
Yeah. Okay.
So next question from the audience is, how many companies are working on metaverse technologies in the scale of Meta?
Okay. First of all, let me answer in two parts. In the scale of Meta, there are at least 5 or 6 large corporations. Okay. So besides Meta, there's Microsoft, there's probably, in a less degree, Apple, NVIDIA. There are at least 5 that are large, that are putting a lot of resources. Okay, that means maybe not to the scale of Meta, but Meta is also downsizing. So they had thousands of people, right? So, but there are a lot of companies working on the large scale on Metaverse. Now, if you look at the small companies, which means they're working on a specific part of it, there are hundreds. There are companies that are working only on games. There are companies that are working only on NFTs. There are companies that are working on digital twins, on whatever. So there is actually, if you're interested, you can search or Google Metaverse. The Metaverse ecology or something like that. Okay, that it lists all the companies that work on Metaverse, and then they have the breakdown by large companies and small companies. So in one slide, you can have all of them. If the person who is asking the question, if he's interested, I'd be glad to send him the slide. I give a full course on Metaverse, so I have that slide. All right.
Okay, moving on to the next question. Could you please comment on today's clean energy? What is the biggest challenge need to be overcome?
Clean energy. Okay. There are 2 or 3 aspects that are currently important. Okay. One is that all for the past 10 years, I focused on renewable energy for the last 10 years, and all the new technologies, what they call renewable energies, they are all intermittent. The ones that took off, the solar and the wind, they are not 24/7, because At night, there's no sun, okay? And then the wind doesn't blow all the time. Sometimes it blows, sometimes it stops, right? So, and that's the reason why nuclear is still important, because nuclear is the only one that is a baseline that it doesn't get affected, okay? But people have the conception that nuclear, everything related to nuclear is dangerous. I have my own view of it. It's actually not that dangerous, because if you look at it, say, well, how many people have died out of nuclear plants? Not that many. Okay, there have been accidents, but not really that many have died. The other thing is that there's a new technology in terms of nuclear. It's called what they call the smaller nuclear plants. Okay, the micro nuclear plants. So they are not like the humongous nuclear plants that used to be in the past, you know, where it takes a lot of water to cool it and so on. So they are smaller scale nuclear engines, okay, or reactors that can serve only a smaller community. Okay, not a very large population, but it's sort of like equivalent to the microgrid. The microgrid is a grid, but it's only a smaller portion. So nuclear plants can also be a smaller scale. Okay, so that's one thing. Okay, so besides the energy part, we need to, in a sense, still need to count on nuclear, because nuclear is a clean energy. It's just not renewable. It's not like you use it forever. It's not like the sun and the wind that is always going to be there, okay? But it is clean. Nuclear is clean, okay? The other thing that is right now is important is the battery. The battery needs to improve considerably. It has to have much faster recharge time. It has to have a much longer range, right? And it has to be cheaper. So right now, all three are not acceptable yet. It's not an acceptable rate. The third aspect that is important in terms of clean energy and clean technology is the water. So it's not going to be too long before people say we're short of water. So even though, you know, you may have flooding and you have a lot of oceans, but it's not potable water. And right now it's too expensive to, for instance, Israel and I think Singapore, they have a lot of filtering, you know, water via filtering. You take seawater and you can filter, change it to a usable water, but still costs a lot. So water is going to be an important thing. Water goes hand in hand with energy. And the third part of it is not related to energy, is the food. So let me just say one word about it. If you remember the acronym FEW, F-E-W, what is scarce in the planet? That means that there's few resources, F-E-W, F for food, E for energy, and W for water. So that's always going to be plaguing people. But that's an easy way to remember. Few resources. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I don't see more questions from the audience. Maybe they're still writing it down. So I do have a question from myself. Since
Sure.
you mentioned, you know, the big environment has changed, or such as the economy, such as politics, and you being a technology watcher or tracker for many decades. You have seen so many cycles, up and downs, good and bad. But today, what still surprise you in terms of technology advancement, or the trends, or the overall shape of the well-being that we're living in today?
Okay, that's a great question. Okay, so because let me share with that. I've been studying, as I, you know, in my bio, you described the last sentence. It says Bill is a technology watcher, learner, and teacher. Well, in my last 3 years, actually, I've been focusing not only on technology, we're focusing on economy, on politics. Because if you look at, for instance, what has happened to us meaning all the people on the planet, is the COVID. Okay, so one thing that I realized that I mentioned also in one of my beginning slides is that everything is intertwined. Technology is one aspect that we as engineers, we are focusing because that's our daily job. But guess what? Economy, politics, health, weather, they're all affecting each other. Okay, so if you look at the global problems, where's the war, you know, the COVID, the extreme weather, the inflation. Okay, so not only technology, but everything else, politics, economy, health, climate, everything is going to be affecting everything. So let's not think about, as a matter of fact, that, you know, in the last 2 or 3 years, because of the COVID, I said, well, we can make all the progress that we want in the technology, but we don't know how long we're going to survive. I mean, there are many people who are dying. So forget about the self-driving cars, you know, a lot of people may not even live long to enjoy it. But you ask a very perceptive question that sometimes we need to focus not only on one area, we need to focus on the global, all the aspects of it. Because if we neglect a certain aspect, we may be caught by that. So like people, like for instance, let me give you a clearest example. People my age, they all worry about living longer, okay? So people say, well, I need to do exercise. And so they focus on certain aspects of trying to live longer, but then they ignore other aspects. So I know, for instance, when I was still working in the industry, a lot of people worry about their health, and they say, well, I go surfing, I go biking. And then after a month, those people pass away because they their bicycle got run over by a car. Okay, so very often the things that we are not focusing actually is what, you know, kills us. So we need to be watchful of everything that is around us, not only on what we work on, what, like, we are all engineers working on technology, but it may be something else that may actually affect us. But you are very observable. You know, it's very important to keep an eye on everything, not only on the things that we are focusing, but on everything else around us. That's very important.
Thank you very much. So I do not see more questions from audience. Mm-hmm.
People who are interested in doing any other specific questions, they are welcome to email me.
Sure. Let me type your email in the chat so people can have your email.
All right. And I want to thank all the audience for listening through. Hopefully you have learned something, either in technology or outside technology.
Okay. Yeah, everyone, thank you for joining today's seminar. We know everyone is busy and everybody's time is valuable. And also thank our speaker, Dr. William Cao, and also the volunteer today, Meng. Thank you very much, and please stay in tune with our upcoming announcements, upcoming events. Feel free to reach us. Feel free to email Dr. William Cao if you have any question. Thank you very much, and good night, everyone.
Thank you, and good night.
And yeah, Happy New Year, Happy Chinese New Year.
Hey, yeah, sure. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for all your support.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Okay. Always my pleasure. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.